Okay, cool. I think we're in. Awesome. How great of you guys to join me. We're live from the Panthers Den. All 8 of my fans are here. Peyton Galvez. Can you see me now, buddy? I think we're good. What's your brother doing? What's up, Scotty? True, man. Cool. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you guys are here. Glad somebody's here. 10. We got 10 people in the house. Jason, what's up, brother? Cool. Where's Duncan? Slept. Sick. It's hot out. It's hot out today, you guys. Looks nice. Looks nice out there. What's up, Alan? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's kind of humid and it's kind of green, so it's been reminding me a lot of the East Coast lately. What's up, Jillian? Yeah, feels like, it's like 60-70% humidity. It's just like where I'm from. Hot. It's green. It's kind of nice, man. I wanted to go grab an Italian sub or something instead of a burrito. Skip the burrito. All of Spring Valley is here. Yeah, we got a couple guys. We're doing all right. I want to make these streams pretty consistent, at least weekly, and make sure we get some guys in here. What's up, Josue, Oriole, Marcus Mayorga, landlord checking in. Please tell me that's not Lima. She should be working out. West Coast all day. Yeah, it's cool out here, man. It's okay. Luis Padron, my man. Evan Tucker. Cool, man. We got a squad. We got a nice little squad. I wanted to do these in the morning here. It's just when I'm not so tired, the lighting's a lot better in here and stuff. I couldn't get my GoPro to work live stream, so it's just you have to do it through your phone, and I couldn't schedule it. So I'm just doing it this way until I get the equipment and stuff, because it's kind of hard to get a cam link right now to hook up my GoPro to the MacBook. So I'm still figuring a couple things out. Haven't been too active on Instagram lately and stuff, just because I've been really focused, man, and doing a lot of stuff with at the gym and on trying to edit videos and all sorts of good stuff, man. I've been working out too, getting a lot of workouts in. So Boogie's competing tomorrow on UFC Fight Pass. It's pretty much the only sporting event you guys can watch right now, so you guys should log on and check that out. Yeah, that's it, man. Let me try to get to my Discord so we can kind of get started here. I didn't have a whole lot of more questions left, and I'm at the house and I don't have a partner. So as far as techniques go, there'll be a little bit. I won't be showing so much technique today. I did roll a mat up in here, just in case I had some ideas or something. But we'll see what happens. Let me get the first. I think the first 2 questions were technique questions too. But I'll kind of talk you through and then let you know what ideas I have and stuff. The first one's from Daniel. More questions from Daniel. May you go over failed shots to reshots and show some as well. Okay, this is good because I just wanted to clarify this actually. So he wants to know about failed reshots to shooting again, right? And the problem with that question is like, you don't a true failed shot is going to put you in a bottom front headlock, right? And so in wrestling, this is like a pretty safe position to get stuck, because if you're thinking about it, okay, I take a bad shot. It's not the best place, but people are really good at taking bad shots in wrestling and wrestling out from down there, because you can use your arms so much. Okay, I can catch his legs at all times, and I can knee block, and I can hold his arms and things like that, and I can do a lot from down there. The problem with that in jiu-jitsu is that when you're down there, you cannot block the legs so much and stuff from him taking your back, because you're going to get choked, right? So that's kind of the dilemma that you run into in jiu-jitsu, and being in a bottom front headlock. It changes the game up just a little bit, but you can sit the guard and stuff too, so that opens up a little bit more options. But wrestling out of a failed shot from underneath becomes more difficult, and you have to get really good at learning to posture out and stuff like that. What Daniel's referring to is more of chain wrestling. He wants to know how to shot reshoot in situations and chain his wrestling together better. And because I use that term a lot, right? And basically like ways that we would drill this is just by like, you know how you almost like feint in a like in a like a boxing or a striking scenario, you know, like you're throwing a jab just to set up your right hand. Or even if you don't throw the jab, you still like maybe throw your shoulder a little bit or something like that, and that'll get him to move. And then you throw a right high kick or something like that. So it's the same in wrestling, okay? And it's the only way you're gonna like it's the only way you're going to take down a good wrestler in a lot of cases is by timing these types of situations. So let me try to show you like an example just so maybe you guys can see or not. Let's travel a little bit. Okay. If you guys like can still hear me, right? Let me know if you guys can still hear me. And this is if you guys are logging into if you guys are watching my breakdowns and stuff, this is obviously where I break down. That's Cope in the back, and you guys will see like Alima's pineapples and different things throughout the house here. So let's see here. So yeah, this will be fine actually. So what that means is basically this: like if I wanted to drill like a shot reshot scenario, I don't want to shoot for a shot like a shot reshot. I don't want to shoot with my posture down because that's how I'm going to get stuck underneath of a guy. If I shoot to set up a shot, it's probably going to be a really well postured shot, right? It's going to be here, and hopefully I have inside controls of some sort. So a lot of times when I'm drilling like a shot reshot, it's going to be here with a couple of insides, and I'm going to shoot with good posture like this and kind of fail. And then as I come up, then I reshoot and change an angle or something. Okay, that's just a really general idea behind it. Another one is like a failed high crotch on this side to a single leg on this side, and that's kind of what I mean more about a shot reshot. Because if I shoot a full failed shot and get stuck underneath, I'm not necessarily reshooting unless we consider like this a reshot and a posture out, right? Which that kind of is, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about shot reshot. A lot of times when I'm talking about a shot reshot, it's like this. Okay, here I take a little shot, but I have good posture, and they just back out. Boom, I come up, maybe I snap, and then reshoot into a double or something. Okay. So hopefully that makes some sense, and kind of clarifies what I mean by shot reshot. It's one of the few ways that you're gonna really take down somebody. That it's one of the good ways to set up a shot, right? So moving on. Thanks, Mayorga. Hey guys, I noticed that I've actually been writing a lot of things in the Discord in our live Q&A questions channel for the past like week or so. So we got to move that back to the quarantine channel because that's not very efficient. That was my mistake. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while now. Sorry. Okay, that was Big Papa Nasty, Daniel Melendez. I don't think he's in here. Otherwise, he'd be pretty loud right now. Next is Scotty. Scott said, what are your top 3 favorite solo drills? What are some of your healthy go-to snacks? Oh, wow. I didn't even consider that question. Shit. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So he's picking weeds. I forgot he's always got to be out there doing yard work. All right. So as far as solo drills go, it's a little bit more difficult with jiu-jitsu, I think, to do solo drills because you need an opponent to leverage against in jiu-jitsu situations a lot. It's actually, I'm trying to figure out like why. I'm trying to really give like a good answer as to why it's so much different. And I think it's just, a lot of jiu-jitsu relies on an opponent or a body to leverage against. Whereas like with wrestling, I think you could do a lot more things solo. Obviously not. I don't think you can do a lot of good movement stuff from top positioning. But in general, top position is hard to do a lot of things without a person. Um, so really, like, I think the first thing, if you're asking me personally, is wrestle, like a lot of like solo stuff. If you wanna do something on your own, solo, like shadow wrestling is something that can go a really long way. It's you can really make huge leaps in your wrestling. You can hear me, right? Okay, cool. You scared me for a second, that's why. Yeah, you can make huge leaps in your wrestling with by shadow wrestling. It's tremendous the difference that it'll make. Um, Huge. I mean, that's how one of the major reasons why I got good at wrestling, because I spent so many hours up in my bedroom in the middle of the night just shadow wrestling and doing a couple of different drills and things like that. But what I mean by that is just moving around and moving your feet and down blocking and taking shots and single legs and seeing things and just your footwork and movement and things like that. It's going to help with your passing big time too. Honestly, it really is going to help with your passing. The like I can look at, and I'm sure any good coach or wrestler can look at somebody and tell you about like the extent of their wrestling just by watching how they move on their own, without somebody in front of them, in a wrestling stance. Obviously, like, most of you guys could tell the difference between somebody that's never wrestled before and how they stand, and then like somebody that's wrestled before. But there's even more levels to how the extent of somebody's wrestling and how they're moving, based on their footwork and their hand positioning and things like that when they're shadow wrestling. And you could break it down pretty much into like complete novice, kind of has a little experience there, sort of knows the stance and the idea of things, you know what I mean? And then somebody that's like definitely wrestled in high school and is okay and kind of can move a little bit. And then, somebody that has like college wrestling experience, or somebody that is like, on a world level or something like that, they're going to move entirely different. And it's just way more bouncy and choppy with the steps and yeah, it's hard to explain, but you can see the difference. Yeah, shadow wrestling can make a big uptick in your wrestling and your passing as well. So just moving around a lot, setting a timer, so you have something to work towards. I think doing that personally is one of my favorites, and because it's something that I need to resharpen all the time, and we'll actually get to that with Joey's question in a little bit. But so wrestling, and then wrestling from bottom and stuff too, like I was showing you a minute ago, just posturing out of things and doing little things like that is pretty big. I think my second favorite personally, and this is going to sound weird, is doing like maybe not sound weird, but like inversion drills is a big one for me. I find inverting to be like a really important thing in jiu-jitsu. If you want to get good on bottom, especially in no gi, you have to be able to invert. It maybe is a little less important in the gi, maybe not, but it's very important if you want to have a solid bottom game to be able to invert and use your legs in different ways and stuff. I don't know if you guys want to see something. I'll show you what I used to do. I don't know if I can really do it in this. We'll see. But this is like one way that I used to do an inversion drill. I don't have much space to show you all the different inversion drills, but as far as like Granby's and the triangle inversions and the different inversions that a lot of you guys already know. But when I got obsessed with reverse de la Hiva, which I still think is one of my better positions, and I'd like to dive into it a little bit more and get even better with it, actually, because I stopped using it so much when I started playing so much ashi and inside positioning. But I feel like it's still one of my better positions, is that reverse de la Hiva. And when I started to get really, really obsessed and enjoying this a lot, it was with initially with Nathan Orchard. It was the first time I ever learned it. And then like these MMA guys in Hawaii that I train with, I'd be just spinning around, inverting on these guys all the time. And they were probably super annoyed with me. But, it felt like pretty cool, and I was getting pretty good at it. So I was just using their legs to leverage. And so I had this table at my house, and that I'd always invert on it, and I'll kind of show you guys like what I mean by this. I don't know if this table will work as well as the table I had at my old house, and I don't know how to even show you the angle of this. Let's see if this works. Hopefully you guys are still watching. So what I do, and I don't think I can do it with this table as well, but I'd hook one leg in, okay, and I grab my own ankle like this, like I'm in reverse de la Hiva. You guys probably can't see too well, but you might when I invert. So here, can you guys see how I'm inverted with the ankle? And then I'd even stuff this one in and roll out on the far side. Here. Okay. And so I used to do this at night all the time. It feels really, it's a good stretch on your hamstrings and stuff too, you know, so your hamstrings and your back. I think this, as if you're inverting, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'll just show you one more time and then we'll go back to the table. Here, this one. Boom. Shoving those feet in. I'm not nearly as limber as I used to be when I used to do this all the time. But this is what I used to do, and I used to circle around the table like this. So, hopefully, you guys enjoyed me embarrassing myself a little bit there on the table. Let's go back. You guys still watching this? You guys like my table drill? Obviously not. So what I was saying is like to invert, you're going to want to learn to invert without somebody on top of you. That's a huge thing because I think too many people try to invert with people smashing them or even drilling like in the practice and stuff like that. And you're carrying weight already and it's probably bad for your back and your spine. But to invert without somebody on top of you already is actually going to be like really beneficial for you because you're going to learn to invert better and you're going to get a lot stronger there and more flexible. And you don't have to carry the weight of another human being. So I think it's really important to do inversion drills on your own and solo because doing it with like a person on top of you is actually going to probably could be, if you're not very flexible or anything, detrimental to your health. Maybe, I don't know. You know, I've definitely messed up my back inverting before because I wasn't warmed up properly or something, or very, very flexible at the time. You guys like this? This is one of my favorite shirts, dude. I love simple stuff. This is a great shirt. I wore it just for you guys. Seated guard is probably one of my third favorite as far as jiu-jitsu goes. I have a bunch of wrestling solo drills that I do, but they actually aren't very applicable to jiu-jitsu because it's from bottom. It's about like standing up and sit out drills, and actually it'd be really good movement for everybody. But it's not nearly as applicable as other things to jiu-jitsu directly, because if you stand up at a turtle, there's a good chance you're going to get choked or something. And then if you but people do it, especially MMA guys, and then like sitting out can be a little dangerous as well in jiu-jitsu. So yeah, it's not nearly as applicable. So seated guard would be another area where I like to practice a lot, and that's just moving side to side, staying in a good sit-up seated guard and rocking back and doing triangles and coming up out of seated guard and just moving down there, because I think that movement is just as important as wrestling. You know, like it's wrestling off your butt, kind of. You know, it's like that's the same kind of movement that you could make a lot of progress in seeing somebody in front of you and playing seated guard against them, and just getting those movements down is pretty good solo. So that's my solo. That's probably my top 3 favorite solo drills. And healthy snack, man. Don't ask me that. Nuts. Definitely cashews. Cashews and stuff is a good one that I like. I like eating nuts a lot. I think they're really tasty and really, really good for you. I like those green, like lentils. Lentil chip things. You guys know what I'm talking about. You get them at Sprouts. What else? Peanut butter stuff. Peanut butter on what are those? Celery, cucumber salads, different vegetables and hummus. I like hummus a lot. It's healthy shit. I like that stuff. I don't have to be too healthy, man. You just don't want to be too ratchet either, you know? Okay, let's move on. I got Jim Trotters out here sending me text messages. He wants to hear about the recovery. Don't worry, I'm getting to you, Jim Trotter. I'm getting there, man. I got you. I know I missed you last week. Sorry, man. Okay, Joey Balistreri. How did you round your game out? Did you dedicate one day to wrestling, the next to passing, next guards, etc.? I.e., people lifting typically dedicate specific days to arms, legs, back, etc. Did you do the same with jiu-jitsu? Essentially, are you double down on what you're good at or double down on what you're lacking? It's a good question, man. Joey's always trying to send me some brain busters and stuff, man. Super complex because I could answer it in a lot of different ways and directions. I think he was asking kind of me personally what I do. And then, like from there, I'm going to simplify it a little bit because there is like so many different ways that I could answer that question. I even want to look at it again really quick. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways I could answer this. Legs. Mm-hmm. But what I've written down was a kind of a simpler version to answer it. So what I'm going to say is a big part of it, it depends on what kind of learner you are and why you're in it and what your goals are, because that's what makes this really complex to answer. Because everybody's going to be different in how they learn and how they pick things up and how they retain information. And then again, like how fast you learn and different things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to simplify this whole answer instead of ranting in too many different directions. I'm going to try to knit it and tie it off for you guys a little bit. So the first thing I would say is, let me tell you first, like what happened with me personally is that like I hadn't wrestled for so long before I started doing MMA and jiu-jitsu. I took like a good 3-4 years off wrestling and didn't even touch it. So when I started into doing jiu-jitsu and doing MMA and stuff, I thought it was really fun to learn something new. You know what I mean? I had wrestled my whole life already and it was fun and it was cool and I liked the grind and I liked the workout and things like that. But these guys had something to offer me as far as like something new that I hadn't learned before and was interesting to me and blah, blah, blah. I don't do jiu-jitsu just because like I like beating people up. And notice I said just because I like beating people up too. This is fun, but like I like doing it because there's like this fun and new interesting thing. And like when I like got to learn, man, there's all this cool stuff on bottom I can do and these weird things from my back, it's like it was a little bit awkward at first, but I picked it up pretty quick because I was having a lot of fun doing it. And it was like new and invigorating and exciting, and there was all this cool stuff. So that's what I'm like kind of bottom line this to is like do what is fun for you and do what is like creatively like stirring your mind and like thinking and getting you going and stuff like that, because that's really like what we're doing this for. And the like I always think about Marcelo because I think he's always in this and for the right reasons and his head's always in a good place. And he always says like the person who loves it the most is gonna win. And he says something along those lines. I probably butchered it big time, but basically it's about the love for it, and it's about enjoying it. And so like I would say to you guys, like just do what's gonna keep you engaged and do what's going to keep you having fun doing it. And if something in particular is intriguing you, then stick with that for a while and do that. I mean, dive all the way in. I don't, that's fine. Just what you don't want to do is you don't want to neglect any other part of jujitsu too far to an extent where like it has like ruined your whole game, you know? So basically what I've boiled this down to, like you're gonna have to in the beginning, you know, white to blue belt, you're gonna have to dive in these specific areas, you know, like you're gonna suck maybe passing, but you're gonna have a really good straight ankle lock, you know, or maybe like you just get your guard passed every time you're on your back, but you are really good at passing. And that's fine. That's fine. Get really good at passing. You know what I mean? Get really good at straight ankle locks. And then once you're sick of getting your guard passed all the time, or once you're sick of getting swept every time you stand up, then it's like, okay, well, let's learn this. Let's dive into this. Let's think about this in a new light, and let's think about like how we're gonna get better there. And then once you hit purple belt or so, that's when people start to like kind of have an idea of what their game is. Then you need to start mapping out how these webs all intertwine and basically how you're going to blend your game so that you can consistently use everything. Because I know for a fact that like when I now dive into a particular area so deep, everything else starts to lack a little bit, even though I was really good at it. The muscle memory is still there for wrestling and things like that with me, but if I don't do it for a year or so, I have to really go back in and resharpen it again. It's not the same as it was. So that's a real thing. You know, I've probably forgot more jujitsu than a lot of you guys have learned already, you know? And that's like, it sucks sometimes, but that's why you have to, as you get better, start to figure out these smaller things and figure out how you're going to blend it together. And it goes back to that last Q&A where we just create black holes that people fall into those areas all the time. And you'll be practicing all of those, hopefully, because like maybe you want to be like good at leg locks, but it's hard to be practicing leg locks all the time if your wrestling is going to lack because you're doing leg locks all the time. So then figure out how to wrestle up from leg locks. You know what I mean? And then when you're sparring, you're going to actually start to see these options all the time, and you can be staying comfortable and practicing both together, right? And so that's what I would do, is I'd figure out kind of where I'm good, and you know, while you're still in your early phases, like keep practicing things, see what's fun, see what works for you, see what works for your body, and then start to blend it by the time you hit purple belt or so, and then or even sooner, you know, and then you can start to practice them all consistently, because you will start to forget things and you will start to get a little bit worse at certain things. So that's my answer to that. Hopefully that works. Let's see what's next here. You guys hanging in over there? We got a couple viewers still. We got 12 guys. It's not bad. Jim, Trotter, Alexis. Okay. For someone who is new, who is just starting out, what would you say are some common mistakes a newbie makes in sparring or doing drills? And then she asked if this question is too general, but I think that's a really good question. For someone who is just starting out, what would you say are some common mistakes for a newbie makes in sparring or drills? Okay, so I actually wrote something last night because I was thinking about this, and it goes like a little bit off. Like it's a little bit off track for a second, but it's not. Okay, it's very conceptual. It's very important for a new person, and you can talk to anybody like this. You know, you can tell them. I just be very straightforward about this, because what I wrote down was, and maybe I'll just read it for you guys, because I don't have any key bulletin points, and yeah, maybe my brain's, you know how your brain works entirely different in the morning and at night? Yeah, so sometimes I'm thinking a little different at night, and then in the morning I'm thinking a little different. I mean, almost always, but like they're like two halves of who I am. So, um, so what I wrote was, you have to realize the full spectrum of the journey you're about to embark. Right. So there's a lot going on in this journey, and it really is a journey. Okay. People are going to put their hands on you. They're going to try to wrap their legs around your neck and choke you. It will hurt. It will be frustrating, but 99% of the time you'll be okay. And they will shake your hand for the effort and for having the courage to step out of their comfort zone, because they too were in that position. Then you smile and help each other up and move on. So that's just like me just kind of saying like, it's going to be way far out of your comfort zone probably. And as far as sparring goes, or even just drilling, some people are like a little bit like feeling hesitant about drilling because they have to like touch with these people and these guys and whatever, especially if you're a girl. Alexis is the one who asked the question, and she's actually a girl. So the question is a little bit different maybe for a girl than a guy. But in general, like people are going to be coming after you, but then they're gonna smile and they're gonna help you, and hopefully most of the time, if the gym culture is correct, and they're gonna help you out because they were in that position too one day, and they sucked as well. So everybody kind of sucks, and that's what's so humbling about the sport. Everybody is like, there's a big point, and something I love to say is that, and something that I learned in wrestling, is that there's always somebody better, and it's the craziest thing on the planet. There's just always somebody better than you. And so like it keeps you humble always, because there might be somebody better than you in every aspect of life, but you don't have to face it. You don't have to face it daily. In jiu-jitsu, you have to face that daily. You have to be reminded every day that that guy is better than you, and that keeps you humble, and it keeps you hungry, and it keeps you in a position to help people that are not as good as you, in like the first, and just remember that like in the first like 6 months or so, you're going to be better than, you're going to be able to handle yourself with a lot of people out there, in the streets or wherever, I don't know where you're fighting people, but, with the common human, you're gonna do pretty well after 6 months of jiu-jitsu, but you're still gonna get wrecked by everybody in the gym. And about a year in, you'll be able to take on 60% of people out there, the average man. And you're still gonna get wrecked in the gym. 2 years, you're still pretty much getting wrecked in the gym, because the thing is like people are getting better with you. And the guys that were better than you are probably getting better than you as well. Your only hope is new people coming into the gym, competitions, right? You get to test yourself against other schools, and maybe one of your teammates falling off that used to beat you. Maybe they weren't paying as much attention or showing up as much, and now you have kind of overtaken their position, and you're a little bit better than them. And those are kind of your hope for reminding yourself that you are getting better, because sometimes you're going to feel like you're not getting better at all. And that'll go all the way through until black belt. It really will. I mean, I got my black belt, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. This is crazy. There's so much. I'm still to this day, like blown away by how much there is going on. And I have moments of a little bit of like discouragement and stuff like that when I see a purple belt that's doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, man, like, what? I don't know that. I'm supposed to know that. I'm supposed to know everything, but you have to remember that that's what's so exciting about this. And that's what's so cool. And that like, that's why we do it, So just remember, you're taking on a big challenge and a big endeavor. And just in general in jiu-jitsu, but also in the drilling that you're talking about, is you have to think of it like, because in the beginning, in the very, 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 very beginning, the most common thing that people are saying is why? Like, why? This doesn't make sense to me. Like, because you were learning this weird thing with my legs in between their legs and this and that, but I just don't see it. And you don't see it because it's like having a jigsaw puzzle on the table. Okay. And I'm telling you to put that piece there, and put that piece there, and put that piece there, and put that piece there. But you cannot see the picture. You can't see the picture at all. So you don't know why that the pieces are going in these positions. But as you stick around, And as you go through it, you get beat up a little bit and things like that. You'll start the pieces will come together a little bit more in this puzzle, and you'll start to see the picture a little bit more. You won't see the whole picture, okay? And then you get to me, and then you have like 9 jigsaw puzzles lined up together, and you can't see that one anymore because it's too far away, and you kind of forgot about it. And like you find out that like some other kid from Australia is building another puzzle piece like over there in the world somewhere, and you're trying to look at it, but you're like, man, but I have all these pieces over here that I'm really like, this is a really good picture. And you're like, but he's doing this really cool thing. Maybe I should look at that. And then you kind of forget about that. But like, that's what's going on with this. This is jujitsu. And at the beginning, you're going to have very few pieces, but I'm trying to tell you where to put them. And eventually they're going to start to come together a little bit. So just remember that. Remember those things. And then like physically kind of like just, ask questions. I like it when people ask questions. Any instructor is going to like it when you ask questions. I really think so. Okay. I think even dumb questions are good questions for me. Okay. I like that. Maybe some people don't, but I like all sorts of arrangements of questions. Someone's always better. It won't make sense until it does. Hard work, trying. You just got to try. Okay. And then just like, something you can do is leave your ego at the door. That's huge. And I already covered that with the conceptual stuff, right? You just have to stay humble and use your legs a lot when you're sparring. I wrote that down because it's kind of important, and something that people don't realize is like how dangerous your legs are and how important your legs are in jiu-jitsu. Your feet and your legs are very, very important, and you're going to be on bottom a lot when you start out probably. And so using your legs to your advantage and using your legs as hands and being able to use your legs, your feet and hands in unison is going to be huge for you to learn how to do that. So try to keep that in mind. And, basic stuff, framing, shrimping, frames, shrimps, create space on bottom, recover your guard. Yeah, you'll get it. I could go and, we could do that for all day, but I just want to give you something conceptual there to look at. All right. Thank you, Alexis. Good question. Hopefully that was cool. You guys still there in the chat? Jim Trotter, where you at? It's your turn. Because Jim and everybody in here, he just messaged me. A big question is about recovery, right? That's a huge question. And I could spend some time probably showing you guys personally how I recover, how I deal with things, because the funny thing is like as you one of the best things about jiu-jitsu is that like as you get deeper into this journey, you actually start to learn your body and learn. I feel like I could be a doctor at this point, or a physical therapist. Maybe I'm being a little ridiculous, and any doctors in the chat. I think we do have, I do have a doctor, maybe possibly in the chat, Angel. I don't know if he's here, but they'll probably be upset with me. But you get the point, right? But between skin infections and orthopedic like type of injuries and physical therapy and things like that, you learn a lot. And so Jim's direct question was, we focus so much on training and grinding, but what are the keys to recovery? What specific things do you do? I find as I get older, now approaching 57, my body doesn't bounce back as quickly after a hard workout. What can I do to help the recovery process? Cool, man. Appreciate the question. So we're going to start with how you train. That's going to be really important. It's one thing that people don't realize, and especially somebody that is 57, right? I'm aiming this, and I'm thinking about you, Jim, personally, and how you train. And you use a lot of explosive movement, and that's gonna hurt your body a lot more. So you have to be a little bit wary of that, and you have to conserve those things. I would use an example. I like history and I like looking at things. So again, I did this in the last live stream too. Look at Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero is like 38 years old and he's competing at the highest level. How does he do that? It's because he's super explosive too. And it's because he limits his explosions and he times them correctly. right? Um, and so, like, choosing your pace, watching your pace in your training is gonna help you out a lot, and it's gonna go a long way. Um, Another thing you can do in training is to pick your partners more wisely. This is like, and like in jiu-jitsu, it's a good idea, to be very open to training with everybody, and you should be that way. But as you get older, or like in my case, I like a little bit older, but also it's a career for me as well, so I have to be more careful. And I apologize to my Yoel's 42. I think I knew that actually. Is he really? What the fuck? Yeah, it's incredible, man. And yeah, that's incredible. Fucking 42. Holy shit. He gives us all hope, He gives us all hope. Just need those Cuban genetics. I don't know what they're doing. Um, so being picky about your partners at an older age, or when it's your careers on the line, is definitely okay. 125%. If you know there's a spazzy dude or somebody bigger than you, or anything along those lines, and you're a little bit older, you don't have to roll with them. Okay. I think it's a good idea to roll and train with everybody. But I also want you guys to be healthy, and you can say no to rolling with somebody. And I know there's some people in this chat that are watching right now that are just lazy and don't want to roll with a big guy, and they're going to use that as an excuse, because I have said things in the past that people have used as excuses. But like, I'm talking to people that are really like wanting to get better, and they're like, their pride, yeah, pride, exactly. Yeah, Raptor said my pride gets me injured, and yeah, that's 100% what it is. It sucks. It sucks. I feel you 112%. Raf Gomez, if you don't think it, like, it hurts me a little bit when um my guys, you guys, or anybody in like a lower rank than me gets me in a bad position, and you know taps me out. It can bother you. You know what I mean? It can definitely bother you, but why don't you just accept the fact that, like, man, I'm gonna get tapped out this many times in practice, if like, it's just gonna happen. I'm gonna get beat. It's gonna happen. And you can accept that right off the bat. And then when it doesn't, you feel good, I've heard Gary Tonin say, like, he gets, and somebody asked him how often he gets submitted or something like that in the gym, and he said 20 times in practice or something like that. And everybody was like, what? That's fucking crazy. And granted, Gary's in a good gym, but like, it's something that you have to set all that stuff aside. And Ronnie caught me with a clean heel hook the other day, and the reason why he did, and part of the reason, well, Ronnie's good there, but also because I was just in there out of my comfort zone. I was in there out of my comfort zone, and I was playing in these positions and things like that, and I just had to accept that might happen right there, and it did. And here I am, like, telling you guys, you know what I mean? So that happens, and you have to set your pride aside, leave your ego at the door, be picky about your partners, watch your pace, choose your explosive movements wisely, time them, and how you train is going to be really important. Okay, that's only one piece to the puzzle for your recovery, and your longevity in this is really just how you train is going to be huge. How often you train, and how often you're sparring and things like that. And then what you do before and after. I wrote this down too, because, like, so if we made it into 3 categories of before, after, and during, that the during would be how you train. As far as a warm up is critical. Even outside of the warm ups that we do in class, if you guys are older, you guys have some injuries or something like that, it's going to help a lot. The way that I was taught to warm up by my physical therapist, who's incredible, was to get the blood flowing first, like a warm up. That could be a 5-minute set, like 5 minutes of moving, right? 5 minutes on the Aerodyne bike, 5 minutes doing jumping jacks, burpees, whatever. 5 minutes of getting your blood flowing first. Then you stretch. So pick some good stretches, right? I have like 4 go-to stretches. I warm up, I stretch. I have like 4 go-to stretches. This can be a short thing. It can be short. It can be long, but it can be short too. Four good stretches, and then muscle activation, right? That's the last thing. And typically that involves, it depends on what your injuries are or where you're having issues, but you have to activate muscles as well. And so for me, that's things like glute bridges. That's things like those side steps with bands and things like that to get my hips and my glutes firing, so that I'm not using like the wrong muscles, or my back's not messed up, and different things like that. So firing your muscles is really important as well, and like kind of the last key to the warm-up phase. So that's going to be pretty important. And then how you train, like I said, and then the after. And the after is, okay, so there's 2 different kinds of after, right? There's when you're all warm, like when you're warm and heated up after training and stuff like that. It's a great time to stretch. So, spend some time sitting around with your homies after practice and stretch. Just stretch. Your body's all warmed up and stuff like that, and just get in there and stretch your hamstrings, move your body a little bit more, and open up and get those muscle fibers a little bit stretched out. And then rolling out and doing recovery stuff in the morning or in the afternoons, because I know, like, the last thing you want to do when you're sore and you wake up, or you're sore and you get home from practice and things like that, is get up out of your couch or your bed, right? It feels terrible. You hate it. And I used to be able to kind of just sit around and after training and stuff like that, and I might hurt a little bit more the next day or something like that, but now I cannot. I just can't. If I do that, I know I'm going to be worse the next morning. So I have to force myself to get up. And so sometimes I do it in the morning, sometimes I do it in the evenings, but you do a full rollout. I use the foam roller, I use the lacrosse ball, and sometimes I'm doing it for an hour, sometimes I'm doing it for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It just depends on how bad I am that day. And you have to just figure out what your specific area, like problem areas are, and injuries and things like that. And you have to focus in there. You know what I mean? I know Raph has shoulder issues. That means he should probably be working to like clear out all this in his scapula and things like that. And if his scapula gets cleared out from rolling on a lacrosse ball and a foam roller and stuff like that, his shoulder will start to loosen up, and the pec and all that. So you roll out the pec, you roll out the scapula and things like that, and you start working to activate those other muscles and things like that. His shoulder will start to clear up a little bit. And Jim, I'm not sure where your injuries are at, maybe in the back, or maybe it's just overall just bent out of shape a little bit and things like that. And then just get on a foam roller and roll everything out. Roll your legs out, roll your upper back out, roll your arms out, roll your pecs out. You know what I mean? All these little things will go a long way. I have so many instruments for rolling out. It's just about getting up and doing it when you don't feel like it at all. And that's how you're gonna last, man. I think people that like don't warm up and stuff like that is really stupid. People that don't take care of themselves is really stupid as well. And the level that you're gonna, like, when you have to initially, and Faraz Sahabi says this actually. I heard him talking about this a while back on a YouTube. He was saying that, like, basically, like, when you first get into a recovery process, you're gonna have to put a lot more time in at first, right? And he was talking about how he feels way better now than he ever did before, right? And he's much older. And he said it all came with his. So Raph uses the Hypervolt and the So Right. They were game changers for him. Yeah, so the Hypervolt is just a massage gun. That is like those are good. Yeah, those are definitely good. And it's an easy way to do it. And So Right is another good one. I'm into the rolling personally, but it's mostly because I know how to use them properly and I can do it myself and I know what exercises. So find what works for you. Find what works for you for sure. I use our gun too. We got a gun here that I use sometimes. But what was I saying? Okay. For us a hobby. Yeah, he said, like, at first you're going to have to spend a lot more time doing that. You're going to have to spend a lot more time because you've built up so much imbalances in your body, and you've built up so many tight, like, like if you have the shoulder issue like Raph, your traps are probably tight and your shoulders are tight and your pecs tight, and those other muscles aren't working as well, and you've built up all sorts of compensations and issues and things like that, and as a result you're having like torn like labrum issues and things like that. And so you're gonna have to spend more time sitting down and taking care of these things at first, but then it's just maintenance, right? And if you forget to do maintenance, see, that's one of my issues. Is I go through this like kind of process of peaks and valleys where I started doing all the recovery, and as soon as I feel really really good and I start training really hard and I pour everything into training. I've made this mistake so many times in the past because I fix my whole body, and then I just start training my ass off, and I don't do the maintenance anymore, and then I just go right back to square one and I have to fix my whole body again, right? And so we can all learn from for us and maybe my own experiences that like we do all that recovery and we get feeling really good, and then we just have to maintain because it's that much easier at that point, right? It's just doing 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, right? Just those ones that you really really need. Maybe I have a little more issues with my low back that morning or that day after training or something like that. Probably want to roll out your hamstrings and your glutes, and you're probably going to want to get your IT band loosened up and maybe your psoas or something like that. I don't know. It depends on what your issue is. So maintenance is going to be important after you take that initial hit off and you start to feel a lot better. And then other simple things is like diet. I didn't even write this down, but this is like huge, man. I know the huge difference in the inflammation of my body when my diet's better and I cut sugar. If you guys really, really do want to like stop eating sugar, just stop. Okay. It sucks at first, but you get used to it and then you don't even like it anymore. If I drink or eat something sweet now, I'm almost like, if it tastes gross to me, I see it as something gross. And so like just cutting sugar alone has helped my life and my body and the way I look so much, right? I don't even focus too hard on my diet anymore besides eating real food. And I just cut sugar. Just cut sugar out, cut the really, really bad things out, try to eat real food, and drink a lot of water. I don't drink anything but water and maybe green tea. That's about it. Kombucha. I like kombucha after like I eat like a really heavy meal. But yeah, drink a lot of water, man. After practice, stay hydrated. That's going to be huge, right? Right away after a workout, what you should do is go home. If you're really, really exhausted after a really, really hard workout, you should over drink water. I don't want to say that because I don't want you guys like flooding your organs or something, but drink a lot of water, stretch and move. Don't stop. Don't sit down. Okay. Try to move a little bit. So that's what I picked up from recovery. Yeah. I don't know. You guys got any questions or anything? I pretty much ran through the questions already, what we had in our live Q&A questions. I think I answered everything right there. You guys are going to have to put some more questions in there for me so we have more to work with, because honestly, I think Jillian Navarez just wrote one in right now. But other than that, I have no other questions to answer. So if you guys wanted to keep doing live streams, you guys are going to put the questions in. So if you want to ask really simple questions right now, do it, or questions about what we just talked about, do it. But if you want a really thorough answer, put it in the Discord. If you put it in the Discord, then I'll have a really good response for you, and I'll have it well thought out. So you guys can, it's up to you, Evan Tucker, who said he has a question. If you have a question and it's pertaining to that or something like that, or something we just talked about, then go ahead and throw it in the chat. If not, I'd put it in the Discord so I can get to it next week when we do this. And if you guys have suggestions on when to do this, let me know too, because I really enjoy doing this in the mornings on the weekends, because you guys can make it on the weekends, and I'd rather do it in the morning when I'm a little more lively, because I've been doing so much construction and stuff like that at the gym that it's starting to wear on me a little bit, and in the evenings I'm feeling pretty rough. Shadow wrestling, Josie mentioned next class. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that with a little bit of space. I would have done this out in the home gym, but the Wi-Fi doesn't reach out there so well. Saturdays work good for you. Yeah, I'll do some. I might put up a shadow wrestling drill just on YouTube. I'm kind of editing so many videos now and stuff that I'm just trying to get better at it. So Evan Tucker, I just landed a job in Korea. Damn. I found out that Leonard Kim runs a 10th Planet out there. Have you ever trained with him? And would you have any tips for doing jiu-jitsu in another country? I'm assuming South Korea. And they have a pretty good jiu-jitsu scene in South Korea. It's very gi-centric. They hold the Spider Invitational out there. I have not. I don't know Leonard Kim. I might have. I know that they have that 10 Planet Seoul maybe or something. I have heard about that. Tips in other countries is, I mean, I would say in most countries, like, you're going to be a lot better, and you're going to notice the level is a lot different here in California than anywhere else in the world. But South Korea's got pretty good jiu-jitsu from what I hear. So it's still not going to be the same level as California, Southern California. We have such good jiu-jitsu, man. And you guys are going to know that when you go anywhere, you're going to feel the difference. The white belts are going to be different, and the blue belts are going to be different, and the purple belts are going to be different. The levels are different, and you guys will notice that. I think as far as South Korea and Seoul, they have pretty decent jiu-jitsu. It's coming up, and that's pretty cool, man, for you, actually. If you train at the 10th Planet there, you can keep training no gi. And I don't know. I'd like to see how it goes. That's pretty cool, man. I don't know anything about him, really, though. Cool. That's about it. Saturday's work awesome for you, Brandon. Sick. You guys got anything else for me? I've been editing the other ones because I'm gonna make them shorter, and it's pretty cool. I got, like, your question pops up on the screen and different things like that. So I'm just trying to finish them and make them look good and things like that. Yeah, I'm just having some trouble with technology. You know, I took so much time off from technology. I didn't even want to see it for the longest time, but I used to love editing videos, and I used to love filming myself and other people and different things and things like that. I say myself because what I'm thinking about is, like, if you guys want to, like, you guys should, if you want to get better at jiu-jitsu and solo drills and stuff like that, watch yourself. Okay. I know actually Joe Rogan talks a lot about listening to his own sets and how much better that makes him. So if you want to get better, then it's something important to do. And I know, like, Ray films himself in class, and that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind that. If you guys want to, you know, as long as it doesn't disrupt anything, you guys can film yourself in class, and you know, film yourself at home when you're doing drills and movements and shadow wrestling, and compare it to how somebody should look when they're wrestling or something like that. And it makes a big difference. And you guys can really see, you know, man, I look like kind of shit. And then next time you film yourself, you're like, man, I look a lot better right there. That looks cool. Yeah, I like doing that a lot. If I could, I would watch myself do jiu-jitsu for a few hours a day if I had enough footage of it, because I feel like I get a lot better when I watch myself. A lot. And I've been doing that since my middle school wrestling days. But yeah, that's about it, man. We're gonna probably cash out here on this. I hope you guys enjoyed, man. I thank you for coming by and spending your Saturday morning in here. We are doing a lot over at the gym to fix things up and stuff, and it's gonna look pretty cool. Hopefully we get back in soon. Hopefully this weather just sanitizes California, and this virus dies off a little bit, and because nobody wants to fucking be out there in 91-degree weather. It's pretty hot. It's actually pretty humid too, but I like the humidity. And yeah, if you guys got questions, ask them. Doesn't matter what they are. But you guys have been asking really tremendous questions. I'm super stoked on the questions that we've been getting, and I'm enjoying doing this a lot. So that's it, man. Like the video, subscribe, comment, smash the like button. What did Oriole say? Smash the like button. Ring the bell at the top. Yeah, do all that YouTube stuff. Thank you, Marcus. All right, guys, checking out. Cashing out from 10P Pomona Ave, the Panthers Den. Thank you guys for tuning in. Oos.